And away we go. Another nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com. Brought to you by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit galacticfriedchicken.com. Get the app. Get it delivered to your house. Go pick it up. Stop in the store in Dayton. See our guy Shane. That's where you go for everything Galactic. Positive will prevail, Aaron. That's their motto.
Seems fitting.
Tough night on that front. This was a team that fought their ass off tonight in Houston. But ultimately, it is a team that has significant struggles at times on the offensive end.
I thought you were going to say deficiencies.
Deficiencies on the offensive end. Struggles, deficiencies, synonyms, right? You can find those in the same section of the handbook.
Or the thesaurus.
Thesaurus. And also a team that has deficiencies, if you will, defensive rebounding and allowing opponents to impact them on the offensive glass. We saw that in full display throughout portions of the game tonight. I guess here's what I'll say again.
I didn't even notice how badly the rebound differential was.
Well, yeah, when you play Houston, like you better put your big boy pants on.
And they did in the first half.
Except for the first segment, Houston had 7 points off of 7 second chance points. They had 9 points. 7 of them were second chance points. They only allowed 11 the rest of the game. So pretty good when you consider they were on pace for there's 5 segments in each half, 7 times 10. They were on pace to give up 70 offensive points at the first media timeout. So they did better from there. But it's a Cincinnati team that did everything humanly possible in the first half. It was a 1-point game. Houston, I thought it was really a killer, that 3 at the end of the first half. Like, if you go into the half down 1,
agreed,
you feel really good. And they come down and shoot a 3. UC gets a layup by DeJulius, I think, with 6 or 7 seconds left.
Something like that.
And Houston comes down, bangs a 3. They go in up 4. They go into the half with momentum. And then they really put the clamps on Cincinnati. Remember, Houston is really good because they are really good on both ends of the floor. And the start of that second half, the first 8 minutes of that second half, they just lock Cincinnati up completely.
19 points in the second half. I mean, you can't win a game scoring 19 in the second half against anybody.
They slashed 28, 18, 25 in the second half. 7 of 25 from the floor, 3 of 16 from 3, 2 of 8 from the free throw line. Woof. Again, styles make fights, right? That's an old boxing term. Styles make fights. Houston's style of basketball right now is what Cincinnati's bad at. You know what I liken it to, Aaron?
Do tell.
I liken it to when Kelvin Sampson took the Houston job and they would play Cincinnati.
I miss those days.
And Cincinnati would whip their ass because styles make fights. And Cincinnati would kill them on the offensive glass. They would shut them down defensively. And Houston had virtually no chance to win those games.
But how excited are you that Fabian White is not going to be in Houston next year?
Look,
they're going to have
tough
another
matchup,
guy.
man.
I
don't know. They're not going to. They don't have another Fabian White in the pipeline.
Well, because he's been there for 6 years. He gets the system. He is the system.
Well, right. And when they lost their two of their 3 top guys, Fabian White was obviously one of their 3 top guys. But when they lost the other 2, Tremont Mark and Marcus Sasser, Fabian White, it became clear that he had to be the guy. Aaron, when you look at this right here, they got no points on 0 of 4 shooting from their bench. Well, that's how thin they are right now. We joked about this on the PTP.
Even look at the minutes though. Like you only had
2 guys. They went
2 guys, really?
Yeah. And 6 rebounds, no assists. They got nothing from their bench. They are.
But we did joke about it on the PTP. You're right.
They are as thin as humanly possible right now, but they're aware of that. And their starters know, like, we have to carry this load. Tonight it was Fabian White. Look, is there any surprise after what we've seen this entire season that the best combo 4 in the conference ate Cincinnati alive? We've seen that in almost every game because they just don't right now have the right matchup.
Well, and you've been saying for the last, I don't know, couple nightcaps that we've been doing. Well, the last couple games especially. You've been saying that this team's out of gas. And I think when you look at...
I didn't think they were out of gas tonight. I thought they fought their ass off.
You're correct in the first half. In the second half, it felt like they were a little out of gas.
Yeah, that's fair.
When you score 19 compared to 34 in the first half, I mean, I know Houston made adjustments at the half, and I'm sure, Cincinnati made adjustments as well. But when you look at 19 points compared to 34 in the first half, that's not just adjustments.
Yeah. So here's what I wanted to talk, if we're doing the Brendel's Bites thing, the lead for tonight. Again, you get 15 out of DeJulius and Davenport, combined 6 of 20. It's very difficult. 1 of 6, 2 of 8, so 3 of 14 from 3. It's very difficult for this team to win when that happens. Now, what has happened the last 2 games does give me a little bit of hope, not just going into SMU, but going into the conference tournament. And here's why. So teams have sold out to stop DeJulius and Davenport, right?
Yes.
With the belief that as long as we stop them, you're dead.
No one else.
John Newman has showed up in these last 2 games.
How exciting is that? I mean, literally.
It's very exciting for this point that I'm in the middle of making. Now teams are going to have to look at him and say, okay, we got to mark him. We can't just leave him. And then tonight you have Mike Saunders, 14 points efficiently, 5 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3. He was the only fucking guy on this team that shot free throws well tonight. At 2 of 2. But you get my point in that the reason teams can sell out on taking away DeJulius and Davenport is because no one else has made them pay. Back-to-back games now, we've seen John Newman start to make teams pay for that.
Correct.
Tonight, we saw Mike Saunders start to make teams pay for that. So now when the opponent is watching tape, they have to at least respect the fact that there were a couple guys that have started to step up and say, all right, if you're going to take away our 1 and 2, we're at least going to have some kind of fight, right?
Sure.
25 points, 9 of 15 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3. That's pretty good. Like that's something that when an opposing staff is charting Cincinnati, you have to make them think.
Well,
like that's what I've been getting at.
It also builds confidence because Mikey has looked timid with the ball more often than not all season. And when you go 5 of 7 from the field, when you go 2 of 3 from 3, that's a big deal for a guy who's struggling with confidence when with the ball in his hand behind the arc, when with the ball in his hand driving to the hoop.
And as I asked him in the postgame, like he and Micah Adams-Woods are being forced into a situation where opponents are doing everything humanly possible to take away David DeJulius.
Sure. Why wouldn't you?
We talked about it last night on the bounce. The worst thing that happened to Dave were those 4 games right around,
where
20
he scored
points.
20 plus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because now teams are like, oh, well, that's
their guy.
Yeah, that's their source. That's their energy. And you take away the energy source and you damage the team. What happened when the Empire built the Death Star, the Rebel Alliance? We're going to do some Star Wars talk. The only way to attack the Death Star was to take out the energy source, right? That's how they blew up the Death Star.
You're right.
For the Star Wars nerds. They've taken away DeJulius. They've taken away the energy source of this team by holding him and making him take. He already took tough shots, Aaron, right? He was a taker and maker of tough shots.
Yeah.
Now they're running multiple 2-3 guys at him. There's always at least 1.5 guys on him at all times.
I don't know. I think my favorite stat of the night tonight was the bench points. 24 points off the bench. Yeah. You were getting to that point. I interrupted you earlier. But 24 points off the bench, no points for Houston. Obviously, we know that Houston doesn't run deep. But that's a big deal for this team that has struggled with bench scoring.
Yeah.
More often than not this season. I think that you had some great minutes by Odie, even though you couldn't make some of those free throws. 1 of 7's not a good night. You had some great minutes you had some great minutes by Hensley tonight. You had some fantastic minutes by Mikey for this was his best game in a long, long time.
Yeah, I thought it was the best game we've seen from Hensley. I know the stats don't show it.
Right.
But the 4 rebounds.
What?
Yeah. All year. Like I thought it was the most confident he looked. It was the most he felt like he played like he felt he belonged.
The block, even the block wasn't something we've seen from him. And I know was that early second half, I think.
Early to mid second half, it was a weak side block, but he started to play with a little confidence in himself.
And I think that's what this whole game was about tonight, where we talked last night about things we wanted to see from this team. And I know they didn't cover the spread, but we did see the fight that we wanted to see. We did see this team build confidence.
It was a 1-point game with 7 seconds left in the half. And it didn't go well from there. 35, 34. And then, 36-19 the rest of the way?
Well, the turnover to start the half didn't – I mean, that was just kind of the –
They had 9
foreshadowing,
turnovers in the second half. 9 turnovers in the second half. That was – 9 turnovers in the second half. Less than ideal. Again, you can't – when you're outmanned like that, you can't give the ball away at that rate, along with shooting. Think about that. 28, 18, 25 was their slash line, and they turned it over 9 times in the second half. They didn't lose by 30.
This is the closest.
That's how you get your ass kicked.
I feel like this is the closest we've been with Houston in 3 years?
John's first year, they beat him. Brandon's the previous regime, as you like to call them. They beat him once, I think. It's been an ass kicking ever since. Yeah.
Jaron days.
Yeah. I'm trying to take as much positive from this as I can.
Like I said, I think it was a confidence booster. I think that there are some things that certain guys on this team are going to take with them going forward. I mean, we saw 12 minutes from Locken. When was the last time we saw 12 minutes from Locken?
Yeah, Vic looked dialed in. He looked really good, especially considering everything he's got going on, which is a lot, trust me.
And that's not even mentioning the injuries.
Yeah, he looked refreshed. He looked energized. He gave a good 12 minutes. I kind of I know I'll be crazy saying this. I don't hate the position they're in for Thursday. We'll talk about it more tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I don't hate I think they match up well with SMU. If they can carry over the energy they had tonight, I think they got a chance to take down SMU again.
As long as they're not gassed in the second half.
Who knows? We'll find out.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. It was, they had a je ne sais quoi about them. Joy de vie.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, whatever. I'm tired. I was up all night with the damn diarrhea dog. And then a 9:00 game.
Not jealous.
No, it wasn't great. We did everything we could. He still pooped twice in the bathroom.
I mean, we had a kid coming. I felt so bad for this kid the other night. 2 nights ago, the oldest just could. He was going to the bathroom. Had to go puke in the shower. So I get it. Things are going around.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was rough. And then a 9:00 tilt against the top 15 team for a team that's
good news
not
is
at their best right now.
Good news is we got SMU coming up this week, and you think we match up well. And then we have spring practice on Saturday. What time is that practice?
Morning-ish. Morning. Doubleheader for baseball shortly after spring football. So
and Ohio
come
State.
down and Ohio State tomorrow, Wednesday.
And Ohio State.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with this weekend.
I thought that was who they played.
They play Ohio State tomorrow.
Oh.
And then they have a weekend series. So they Ohio State wasn't originally on the schedule.
Gotcha.
But they got ranked. They got to play one of 4 games in Alabama over the weekend. So Ohio State and Cincinnati kind of scheduled a game tomorrow, Wednesday, take up for it. So, yeah.
Nice that the baseball team comes down here, but the football team won't. Weird.
We will actually we're getting to talk with Googs on Thursday, which I'm excited for.
Nice.
So we're doing a little press conference with Luke. We got a couple players, and then afterwards we're gonna get to talk to Googs, which I'm pumped up about.
That'll be on the channel.
Yeah, I'll have those videos up.
Nice.
And then obviously you and I with Dave tomorrow night for the BCJ podcast. Boy, how nervous! He was probably asleep, but he got it.
It depends. Like if he was watching that money line.
I told him we were talking this afternoon, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be asleep," and I'm like, "If it's close at halftime, you're gonna have a sweat." Like he had Houston plus 15.
He might have gone to bed with 10 minutes, but it depends on how much money he put down. Because I'm telling you right now, if I'm watching that money line and I'm feeling nervous, there's no way in hell I'm going to bed.
Mike Adams would shot a 3 with 10 seconds left that would have cut it to 15 and would have been a push. And that's when weird things, like that's how you end up on bad beats, right? Like, he cuts it to 15 and somebody throws away the inbounds pass, and then UC gets a layup with no resistance, and it ends up being 13. So I'm excited to hear Dave's tale tomorrow of, a game that looked pretty comfortably in hand.
Yeah.
But that game is also why you don't lay 15 very often. Because that's why I don't gamble. There's no way I could ever gamble because
bad beats.
All right, man. Let's call it a night. Check out the PTP. Pardon the punctuation on YouTube. It's on the Bearcat Journal website. And thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to, as always, Shane and the fine folks at Galactic Fried Chicken. We'll be back tomorrow to take a look at SMU, a team that's no longer playing for an American Conference Championship. They are playing for an NCAA tournament berth. So, see you tomorrow night.